What's happening, y'all? That is the Congress Reel, and it's a tune that I played about a decade ago, and I thought it might be fun to take another run at it because I've changed how I play it a bit, and I recently recorded that. So if you're interested in hearing this tune in context, I'll post a link to that down below. But in the meantime, let's break down the basic melody. As always, we're going to start off nice and slow, and then come back and add in the ornamentation and other fun things to the tune once we get there, but here we go, nice and easy. 3, 4. That's the first section. Let's get the second section here. It's a bit of a repeat from the first part, just the ending is a little bit different. And then we'll come back and we'll put it all together. So here we go. 3, 4. Let's run it all the way through, still nice and easy mellow tempo. Here we go. 3, 4. You may have noticed that I had to take a breath in there. You may or may not have as well. The only trick there is just to simply delete a note when you need to get the breath in. That whole thing would go around twice in a normal session environment. Then we jump in with the B part, so let's do that. Here we go. 3, 4. Spends a bit of time in that second octave, in fact entirely in the second octave, so as always be mindful of your hearing and that of everybody around you. Let's jump into the second half. Like the A part, it's a bit of a repeat and then it ends up. Like the A part, it's a bit of a repeat and then it finishes up just a little differently. Finishes up, in fact, like the A part does, which is kind of convenient. So here we go. 3, 4. So again, the ending of that is the same as the A part, so you can hopefully copy and paste a little bit. Let's run one whole B part, both parts together all the way through, still same tempo. 3, 4. Hopefully some success there. I changed up just a bit because there's a little bit of a optional thing where you don't have to just sit on one note. So either way you want to play it, they both fit pretty well. Let's run all the way through the tune AABB as you'd expect to hear it at a session. A little bit quicker, not super fast, but a little bit quicker, and then we'll come back and get some ornamentation in there. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Success, hopefully. If not, run that a bunch, make sure you get that locked down, and then we'll carry on. Couple of rolls, couple of good options there to mix up the melody a little bit, but right off the bat, that's how I started this tune when I was playing it up tempo. I really like a good slide into that from that second octave D to E, without breaking the note, hopefully. It's just got a nice kind of dirty sound, I think is a cool way to kick it off. Then I'm cutting to separate those notes. With this tune, there's quite a few repeating notes, back-to-back notes. There's quite a few that are where they're sort of just moving within the range of one note. You can substitute rolls there, you can substitute cuts to separate those notes. Be on the lookout for anything repetitive, because that's probably a good indicator of a spot for an ornament. Like there in the second octave. And then as I come back to the G, I like to cut that again. It's an unusual beat, I guess, to accent, but I kind of like doing that every now and then to change up the groove a bit. Then you got a couple of roll opportunities. The basic melody would give you an option for a roll straight away. Then you've got that optional kind of C natural E thing. And then you got another roll down there. You could kind of do two rolls back to back on the A without having to hit the C natural. A good variation, kind of a cool option, I think. Has a neat, I don't know, kind of a driving rhythmic effect, I think. If I am doing that C natural bouncy bit, then I like a slide there going from the A to the B. Any chance I get to work those in, I think I will, because it's, again, kind of a cool dirty sound, and on a minor tune, I think it really helps. Again, with the slides, we kind of do that turnaround back to the second half, or the repeat, I guess, of the A part. So then we've got this sort of walk-up-y bit with the C natural. What I'm doing there is nothing more than just tonguing to get a good groove, good separation. And then a roll on that second octave G. Sliding into that second octave E, just like how we kicked off the A part, I think works just as well here. Then you've got to roll on the second octave A. Now, when you get into the higher parts of the whistle, G, A, B, second octave stuff, you do run a greater risk of breaking notes. So you need a couple things. You need, one, to try and hit that as cleanly as you possibly can, and two, you need a bit of confidence in your whistle. Make sure you've got something that you know how it responds. I'm also tapping. There's effectively 3 A's in a row there. So you got to tap there, then you've got to roll to separate those. That's what I like to do anyway. Then we've got this bouncy bit between the D, E, and G. Now, I like to try and make sure I get this top finger up, because I'm going to hit that. Makes me hit it a lot cleaner. If that's too weird and tricky, still going to work, but it might just be a little warbly, depending on how much air pressure you're hitting that with. So just keep that in mind. If you can, get in the habit of keeping this top finger off. I think so much the better. Not really doing anything ornament-wise, a bit of tonguing to separate and give it a little bit of a bounce, but otherwise, it's just kind of a cool hook on its own, I think, so try not to overpopulate it with stuff. So same thing there with that cut on the second octave G that I mentioned in the A part. Could do a double cut there. I'm doing these 2 fingers for those concerned about that sort of thing. And that's what I like doing with this one. If you're interested in more of a deep dive on this with some of the flute stuff and some kind of more advanced variation on ornamentation, I've got that over on my Patreon along with tabs and sheet music. So if you're into that, please do check me out over there. I've also got another version of this tune posted there from when our band did. Otherwise, y'all let me know what you think about this tune. I kind of dig it. It's one of my favorite reels to play, and I was glad to take another run at it after about a decade here on YouTube. So let me know what you think, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers.